Alright, sadly, it is just a best of one, as this is the ZOTAC Cup early rounds. Spawning here in the top right corner of Yansu, it is the Pink Turn from Root Academy's TTC, and it is Intense. Formerly of Clarity Gaming, but a really cool dude all around, and I believe I'm following him on Twitter. I could be mistaken, I have to check later, but his opponent in the lower left, representing... Gosh, what does EG stand for? EGADS? No, of course it is Evil Geniuses Revival. And it's going to be actually, this is a pretty good matchup to start the day, but I mean, just before we even get into anything, normally, natively, I would give this to Revival hands down. A lot of you guys are like, well, he's the Korean player. No duh, he's got the upper hand in this matchup. However, that being said, Revival's been kind of out of it in regards to the North American scene. He used to compete in a lot of the ZOTAC Cups. You'd see him playing around in show matches and what have you, but for the last 3 months, I asked Revival, where have you been? So either A, he's been taking a bit of a break, training up, you know, doing more offline stuff than online cups like Hyun once did, or alternatively, he's just said, hey, you know what? Wow, it's a Saturday, I'd give a shot at $100. What's the worst that could happen? One way or another, though, Intense definitely has to be on his feet for this matchup, and I think a big part of this is why he's going for a Reaper opening instead of a Command Center first. Not that he would expect Revival to come hit him with a 6 pool. I mean, it is Evil Geniuses, guys. Suppy jokes. But because he wants to make sure he's got all the information he needs. Killing drones, that's cool. Sometimes in a rare scenario, you'll see like players like Happy, for example, win a game straight up with Reapers. But typically, if you're going to play it safe, this is definitely one of the ways to do it. But whoa, SCV is gonna barely get away. That is irritating. That is super irritating. I'm gonna try and repair it. It doesn't get one shot, but all right. So Reaper, of course, coming up first. Big thing for Revival is getting in there to see the gas. Doesn't need to see that it's the Reaper. Doesn't need to stick around for it. He already knows, hey, it's gonna be, well, a Reaper. You guys in chat are so sweet, but not sweet is Revival, as he is actually taking the hatchery here in a proximity location. Now, this is kind of cute. It's not like the Reaper's going to have enough DPS to kill this, and if Intense lets this go, this not only becomes an annoying cat-style hatchery, it also becomes a roach production facility. Get a queen out, put some creep down, all of a sudden this is going to take forever to clear up, and as a Terran player, you're never going to take your natural. Now, Intense isn't freaking out. He's going to still build a command center behind this. He's going to play this as standard as he possibly can, but this is not something standard to play against. Oop.
First blood.
Sorry, almost missed it. Talk about rusty. But okay, Reaper going to kite around these links now, just to make sure he doesn't fight on creep. Of course, staying at the top of the hill going to work a little bit, but oh. Gets one lane, not too bad. Goes back up the ramp, and with you know, that's the big thing here. The cost of this hatchery was those 2 queens being out early enough to shut this down immediately. That queen just recently came out, so now we'll start driving the Reaper off, but not too much threat here. Now, a couple Marines were put down. He's going to absolutely need to put a bunker down if a spine crawler comes, but we don't see any drones being pulled across the map, so this is probably not going to be to do too much without that Roche Warren. In fact, he may not even make a queen out of this, but I think a queen would be a good thing. You put a creep tumor down, bam, hey, that's a scan, that's the commander center, that's the hatchery. It's a big waste of time for the Terran player, you know, but looks like it is just going to be focused down. Revival, of course, once he loses the hatchery, it's still going to take like another minute for the creep to recede, so this command center is not going to be mining off this base anytime soon, but that's okay, because of course you can move the command center, you can just build SCVs in the main, 3rd command center even coming down. Like I said, Revival, not phased by this for the time being. But man, this Reaper is still just racking up the odd killer here and there. Up to 4 kills total so far. Lings are busy with the rocks instead of trying to protect their drones. Almost gets another one, but good build out of Revival. Yeah, Brewling's actually going to kill some Marines because Intense is not paying attention. So loses 1, kind of annoying. Of course, this creep is going to take forever, so he's going to take the other base, which may end up hurting him more than helping him. We'll see how that plays out, as of course this is a little bit more exposed, even with the collapsible rock tower, even with the long path coming from behind. This is not a base you typically see players try and take, because it's not fun to try and hold on to. But man, that Reaper with 4 health still alive gets out of the base. Very nicely done so far by Intense. I have music on, right? No, I do. I wish you could skip ahead, like if you could cycle through the Blizzard music. I think that'd be awesome. Next feature, Blizzard, please. But oh, while we got this sort of slow build up, which will most likely be Marines and Widowmines. Well, actually, no, Marines and Widowmines used to be the very common thing. We're seeing tanks actually incorporate a lot more, and I don't think it's because the tanks necessarily got buffed, but more so because the Widowmines aren't as effective as they used to be. They're still good, but they're kind of real luck based now instead of just kind of luck based. But what I was gonna say, well, we got some time to kill. For those who don't know, there are Easter eggs on Yansu. Now, while I do know where all of them are at this point, there are 3 hidden Pandarian Brewmaster barrels, keg barrels, on this map. I'm going to show you guys 2 of them, and I want you to find the 3rd. So here's 1, hidden over here. And here's 2, hidden right over here. So some of you guys may have seen this before. If you're watching the VOD, maybe you've never heard of these before. But there's 1 more on the map Yansu, and I pose to you the challenge of finding it. I know where it is. If you've seen past broadcasts, you also know where it is. But if you're new, have some fun. Good luck. Go find it. Meanwhile, Overseer gets into the base of Intense and sees, okay, that's a couple more racks. That's double engineering base. You're not playing mech. I'm going to be safe to go Mutalisks. Now, it's not like he's building the Spire because of this. He already has the Spire on the way, but he'll feel a lot more comfortable, a lot more concrete in his decision to do so. Of course, Mutalisks, fantastic for shutting down Medivacs, but we got none of those available yet, and we won't anytime soon, as there's still no starport. Okay, couple tanks very well positioned here for Intense, by the way. I love the coverage of this tank. It doesn't quite reach the command center, but it does cover both of these alleyways, so the ramp as well as the way to funnel in. So, not the best position if there was roaches coming, but of course, you and I know there's not roaches coming. Of course, one here at the natural. So Siege Tanks, they do attack a little bit quicker. Haven't seen it come into play for too much anything outside of TVT yet. Of course, the biggest thing with TVT is like sieging up first and then getting like that little bit of an extra hit off, but yeah, going with the 1-1 upgrades. Mutalisks now on the way. Baneling Nest has a completed speed already? No. So we don't have centrifugal hooks just yet. But that's okay. Not exactly a rush to get anything done because Intense hasn't been poking out. He hasn't been harassing. He's been playing very laid back as a Terran player. And I think, you know, this massive rack style will be fine until you start dealing with the Mutalisks. Because without Medivacs, how are you going to stim the Marines around to the response time? Without 40 freaking missile turrets, how are you going to stim around to the response time to catch the Mutalisks? It's not going to be easy, and it's certainly not going to be fun. Every stim pack he burns is going to just hurt. So now we got the starport coming out. Just now finishing. There we go. So Medivacs now on the way. But again, a little bit delayed, and it might just cost him a couple units. I mean, this 1 missile turret, the bunker is so nicely positioned. I mean, run-bys will not be an issue for this base at all, but Mutalisks on the side, picking off units from the edge of the mineral lines, poking off here, and there's even a Widow Mine hiding in the mineral lines there, but not in a position I think it's really going to catch much. This tank, of course, needs to be very careful, very exposed, very expensive unit. Tents can't really afford to lose tanks yet. Oh, here comes some Marines. Of course, very cautious not to stim. I like this out of Intense. So easy to select all and just hit stim to try and attack into the Mutalisks, but of course, again, his Medivacs only just now coming out, so not quite afforded that opportunity yet. But yet is the key word. We got the Infestation Pit already coming up pretty quick here out of Revival. Not at all surprised with the leeway he's been given so far this game. Coming up on 2-2. This might not even be for Infestors, although it most likely will. He might just go fast hive tech after he recognizes that he hasn't been assaulted and hasn't had to defend anything this game, but he saw the push coming thanks to the Watchtower. He'll see it thanks to the creep here. And he is going to have to invest in units. So we see 26 Lings on the way. There's some Banelings already available, but is there enough? No splitting out of Intense. Widowmine is going to get some pretty good hits off, as well as the tanks. And actually, Intense takes a great engagement there. It's a combination of the Siege Tank fire, a little bit of friendly fire too, but the Widowmine hits were meg. As long as the Siege Tanks stay on the low ground, Lings can't exactly swarm into them. They got to go all the way around. So a great position here out of Intense as he takes down this 4th base of Revival. Revival, however, saying, all right, I can't fight this army head on. There's too many Marines. I don't have any ground support. Let's go with the Mutalisks and try and harass a little bit. So he'll get some refineries here for free. I don't know if Intense will respond by going home or continue pushing. I like the burrowing this one Widowmine. I'll probably go off on the larva there. Unless, can Widowmines not target larva? Okay, that's cool. Didn't know that. The more you know. Yeah, no building armor so far for Intense, so missile turret spam is probably not going to come down just yet. There is that quicker hive like I was talking about, so like, while the option of Pathogen Glands was there, decided to go for the 3/3/Ultra swap later on instead. Something Intense, of course, would not really be prepared for, but ooh, I love that out of the Siege Tank. He's getting a good volley off. However, for those who don't know, Siege Tanks with no upgrades cannot actually one-shot Zerglings with 1 armor. However, Siege Tanks with 1 upgrade can actually one-shot Zerglings of any armor value. But okay, it looks like going to be a bit of a slaughterhouse here as most of the Marines are cleaned up. On the high ground, still focusing down a couple units, but not a whole lot more going to get accomplished. You can try and pick up, but of course he'll be kind of dogged down by the Mulist if he does so. So just going to stand his ground, take out as much as he can with him, and I don't know, Intense, you know, he may have shut down this base, but I don't think he realizes Revival said, not a big deal, I'll just take another. Although he's pushing into the 3rd, assuming there's going to be a 3rd down, but there's a little bit more to it than just that. Kind of a hidden base for the time being. But coming in here with some more Marines, going to back up. Again, these Banelings on creep are a really big scare, but off of creep, Banelings are not that big of a problem for Intense. However, worth noting he's out of siege tanks, so he doesn't quite have that free fire that he did before. And ooh, coming in from multiple ramps, multiple angles, there's Widow Mines, but there might just be a few too many Zerglings. Marines will back up for the time being, and I don't know if he has enough to deal with the Mutalisk flock. But as well, Revival isn't sure if he can really push into this without taking heavy losses, so now cleans up the Widow Mines. How many Mutalisks in fact are in play? 19 so far, so this is quite a big ball of Mutalisks. But again, as we see, Marines with Stimpack are pretty good at dealing with Mutalisks. Oh, that's a lot of Banelings coming in, but this is going to be in time. This is going to be enough. 18 coming in just a moment, guys. Marines are going to try and focus these down. Looks like Revival will cancel them all and pull them back. 3rd base may be forfeit to this, but the Mutalisks are going to cut off reinforcements. Really intelligent choice. Widow Mines are in this big cluster. Of course, if the Mutalisks are not careful and they fly over top of it, it could cost him everything. But instead, as he loses his 3rd base, Revival's going to move on to the 3rd of Intense. Shutting down these refineries once more. Not a big deal at the moment because there's not a lot of gas-intense units that are coming. And looks like with the drones retreating out of the 3rd, he actually kind of accidentally gave away to this hidden base. Yeah, this 4th base now going to be taken out. Revival beat back down to 2 bases. Going to lose so many drones. Going to lose so many hatcheries at this point. 25 workers killed. 3 hatcheries down. Beautiful Widow Mine hit goes up, but doesn't kill a whole lot. However, a good spread is going to be necessary. It looks like Intense will try his best to try and kite behind the mineral lines, but there may be just too many Zerg forces from Revival. However, I need Beacon. Look at the resources lost, folks. 12k to 8.6. Intense not at all trading inefficiently, even though he's losing his army, knocking down the economy of Revival, taking out pretty fair engagements with his own army, trading a little bit more than effectively, quite frankly, cost effectively. But, you know, in the end, lost everything, so couldn't continue the follow-up push. Big thing for Revival, guys. If he never cut off those reinforcements with those Mutalisks, Intense would have snowballed beyond control. But cutting off the reinforcements, forcing that choke into the 4th, Revival making the best out of a bad situation. But he's going to have to do it one more time. Medivacs actually pick up immediately and boost away from the Mutalisks. However, we'll have to start unloading soon. But they are going to retreat into a lot of friendly Marines. Banelings are going to come in, but the Mutalisks are chasing right over top of everything? Question mark, Revival, what are you doing? Decides to back on out, realizing this might not be worth it. 3-3 is on the way, and Adrenal Glands coming out too. No Ultralisk Cavern to be seen, but a large part of this is because without that 3rd base, without that 4th base, there's simply no economy to make Ultralisks happen. So, again, Revival trying to make the best out of a bad situation. Adrenal Glands are not bad, and they're kind of the best case thing he can do in this particular scenario. But Intense is pushing once again. Oh, he's going to clear up creep this time too. Something he actually hasn't done up until now. Widow Mine's clumped up in hopes of hitting some Mutalisks, but that's not going to be the case. They need to be spread out to catch those Banelings, lest be the Marines suffer those fates. But coming in again with so many Marines spread out so nicely, I don't know that Revival even has enough to really hold this off. 11 Banelings, 14 Mutalisks, that's about it as far as army composition goes. But Intense has not continued to reinforce units. Once again, kind of stranded here with this awkward supply of Widow Mines. Maybe forced to back up? I mean, I know he wants to take down the space, but okay, now going to bring the Marines forward, realizing I need to get around the one part of my army I can really rely on, but Widow Mines will go off left and right, despite the Overseers. Actually, still a good couple hits go off. Revival finally getting an engagement that looks a little bit better for him than it does Intense. However, it's on the defensive, and as a Zerg player, this is not where you want to be. You don't want to have to retreat for drops. You don't want to have to defend your 3rd. You want to be pressuring. You want to be harassing. You want to be in your opponent's mineral line, and oh my god, Intense! Gets blown up by some beautifully positioned burrowed Banelings out of Revival. Oh, so well played out of both players so far. Intense, though, gonna knock down another base. Easily can take out the 3rd if he decides to go in. Marauders down the front lines can soak those Baneling hits, or just focus down the hatchery one way or another. Revival's forced to engage. There's some decent Baneling connections, but I don't know if it's good enough. Now the Mulo's trying to go on top of the Marines once again. Marauder's still standing strong on the front line. He's going to soak those Banelings. So beautifully done. And of course, would might as well clean up the remainder of the ground forces. I don't know if there's enough. Yeah, just not enough. Looks like Intense will knock out Revival. Well played. Oh, why did this get moved up? Oh, man. Yoink. Yeah, like I said, guys, would have normally given that to Revival, but Intense played that really well. Sephi, what's up? That was pretty intense. Pew, pew, pew.